I don't care about the cup right now. I don't. I just realized I forgot it, so...
No, I told her I put it up there.
No, I had to rinse it out.
Oh, I was
in the bathroom. He's such a sweetie. Just a little bit.
Hold on, I'll go get your whiskey.
He's not whiskey.
Oh, I might have to get
Oh, you know what? No, that should be good. The blood of my fallen enemies. It went sideways on me. Oh, the blood of my fallen enemies. Woo. Oh, the satisfying sound of soda. I apologize for the 2-day late uploaded chapter. We had traveling, and Monday was a fiasco. But Tuesday was traveling, and then I was too tired to keep my eyes open. So it's today, and what is going on over there? I don't know.
Never take Greyhound.
Yeah, Greyhound, no bueno on Greyhound. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, something's going on my phone. Anyway, because it's officially now chapter day, and I can keep my eyes open. We're on chapter 12. Chapter 12 of Reaper Adventures Freedom. And it's Wednesday, not Monday, so next week will be Monday, because I have D&Ds on Wednesdays, mainly, but we are not in state. So, we're on chapter 12. And whatever that is, it's gotta go away. I don't know what's over there. There's a little thingamajigger right there, and on my screen. I don't know how to get rid of it. Ah, what did I do? Okay, whoa. No, yeah. Nah, screw it. We'll just leave it there. Anyway, chapter 12, continuing. But don't bring your kids. Don't bring your kids, because it's not kid-friendly. I will curse, and those are the only curse words you will hear. But there are no curse words in the story. There's no sex scenes in the story. But there are one or more scenes of scary creature violence, mentions of DON behavior, which I believe is in this chapter, which is scary creature violence. He.
Gotta have brothel scenes, damn it.
Oh, no, not always. There's the trial scene for the Archangel Michael and Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order, which we already passed. And there's the murder scene by the demon, which we passed. And we passed the mention of theft. Don't bring your kids. Those are the reasons why. At least I remember that. So now we are continuing with chapter 12. Chapter 12. Serena woke the next morning to the smell of coffee. Because coffee's the best. I don't care what you say. I love coffee. She blinked, sat up, rubbed the sleep from her eyes as she stretched and got out of bed. She went to the kitchen to make coffee, saw that coffee had already been made, and realized that her nose hadn't played tricks on her. She noticed that Chris was attempting to cook. Now, mind you, Chris is a Dioan in human form, so let's just say he's not that great at cooking, which is funny. Chris glanced at Serena. Morning, Chris greeted. Morning, Serena said as she poured herself a cup of coffee. I made breakfast, Chris told Serena after some words Serena assumed were curses in his native tongue. Chris handed Serena a plate of scrambled eggs with toast. She decided not to ask where the bacon was, thanked Chris, and began to eat. Am I dreaming? Serena asked when she finished breakfast. I really don't have anything better to do right now, Chris replied with a snort. Serena knew she wasn't dreaming then and brought her plate to the sink where she washed it, which I need to seriously learn to remember to do that because I suck at that. She finished her coffee, did her exercise routine, and finished getting ready for the day. only to realize it was her day off. Chief Law had ordered her to take her vacation days. Serena couldn't argue with the chief either and had reluctantly taken a week off, effective today. What better way to spend a vacation than with your monster who lives in the apartment? Now I got icy blood of my fallen enemies. Hey, I don't care who you are, that was good. It kind of did, didn't it? I was going to say, and it's in caffeinated form. But that made it sound so much worse. Anyway, continuing. Serena walked to the kitchen and sat down, confusing Chris. Don't you need to go to work? Chris asked her. I needed to take some vacation days. Chief's orders, Serena explained, unsure of what to do with herself. I'm turning that down real quick, because that was a little loud. Unsure of what to do with herself. Well, I guess you're stuck with me for a week, Serena said. What? He popped the clam chowder. All over the place. Yeah. Woo! Continue. You dropped your phone case.
Yes.
Okay. Continuing. I'm trying to continue. As it dings. I guess you're stuck with me for a week, Serena said. Very bored, Hugh. Chris sighed after some time. Serena had to agree with him. Let's go for a walk, Chris suggested. That sounds good. I'll get the collar and leash, Serena said. Chris growled softly and shook his head. Then what walk are you suggesting? Serena questioned. A walk in the woods. I need to run while I'm not pretending to be a dog, Chris told her. Serena studied Chris and realized now why he was so restless lately. Let me change my shoes. I need proper footwear if we're going wandering in the woods, Serena said as she went to change not only her shoes, but her outfit as well. Because, yeah, sports wear. We're going with it. By the time she emerged from the room, Chris was in his true form, waiting as patiently as he could. Serena opened the back door and Chris took off towards the tree line. Because woods, it's a thing. And I love woods and forests and mountains. And anyway, moving on. He stopped before going into the woods and waited for Serena. Ooh, excuse me, I burped. Serena closed the back door and reached Chris. You can go on ahead. Just make sure to come back and check on me, Serena said. Chris nodded and then took off, racing ahead of Serena and circling back to check on her. And I believe this is actually a relatively short chapter. Yeah, we got 8 pages left. By the time Serena caught up to Chris was out of breath and laying in a shallow part of a stream. Serena knew Chris had heard her and watched as Chris quickly regained his breath, drank some water, and continued to lay in the shallow water. 'Cause stream water, mountain springs, they used to be safe to drink from. Serena smiled slightly as she knelt down beside the banks of the creek. She couldn't help but compare Chris to a dog, thoroughly enjoying themselves in a mud puddle. I forgot the word help, but it's there. It was there in my mind, so it's there when I type it. Help but compare Chris to a dog thoroughly enjoying themselves in a mud puddle. Even though Chris wasn't a dog, and he technically wasn't in a mud puddle. However, the comparison wasn't one she could help making. Chris's ears were fascinating to Serena for some odd reason, twitching slightly and rotating to locate sounds Serena would never be able to hear. She knew that even though Chris appeared relaxed, he was alert, listening for anything that could pose as a threat. Though Serena doubted that anything would prove a threat to Chris. Because a monster. Unless another Dioan managed to rip its way out of the in-between and had stalked them. By the way, those are very scary little not so little monsters. They're very scary monsters. Moving on. Serena decided that possibility was highly unlikely. Until Chris swiftly lifted his head, the lower part of his ears dropping slightly, reminding Serena of videos of frilled lizards. You know how they go like with the frills and they're like, yeah. Look up frilled lizards and you'll get the comparison. And I kind of explain it anyway, so. Frilled lizards had frills that would be used to appear more menacing and larger than any opponent. Serena now understood why the lower part of Chris's ears appeared to separate from the upper half of his ears, because they just kind of expand. Though they technically weren't separate, in a way they were. Chris stood up, seemingly relaxed, though his ears and his eyes scanning the surrounding woods told a different story. Because, yeah. Serena knew the difference in Chris's posture. His long tail twitched above the surface of the water and his muscles tensed, the slight rippling of water telling Serena that he had gained solid footing as his claws sank into the ground underneath the water, which is extremely difficult, mind you, because that is always moving. Chris's nostrils flared slightly as he used all of his senses to locate the intruder that Serena now knew was a threat to both of them. Caffeinated blood. We're going with it. Serena wondered if it was a good idea to stay still or if it was a better idea to run. Don't run. You'll instantly die. Especially if it's a predator. Because if you run when faced with a predator, they are going to chase you. So, though she brought her pistol with her, as she always did, she wondered if this threat would be eliminated or absolutely furious with a bullet through the head. Chris had located the threat by now, and the lower part of his ears had unfurled completely as a quiet, spine-chilling hiss sounded from Chris. His muscles tensed even more, his claws gained better purchase on the creek floor, and he opened his mouth as his teeth quietly clicked into place, because their teeth are retractable. So if they bite without the teeth and then they have their teeth click into place when their mouth is around your throat, yeah. That was horrible. We're going to continue. He could see, as well as smell, Serena's fear morphing into terror, because they have good sense of smell and really good eyesight. Moving on. Chris knew that any other human would have made a mess of themselves when 3 quiet hisses sounded behind them in response. Yeah, I'd be one of those people pissing myself. Serena proved to be a very rare exception to that fact. What? I don't want to know. Never mind. Chris saw one of them tense and leap towards Serena. Chris had anticipated that they would go after Serena and leapt from the creek waters and swatted the Dioan away like a fly. Whack! They landed on their left side and got up, Claring? What's claring? Yeah, that's a word now, don't you know? Glaring at Chris with hatred and fury plain in their eyes. Chris felt a scream to intimidate them bubble up in his throat. He didn't hold it back and felt the lower half of his ears quiver in a way that would deter any determined Dioan away from engaging in a fight. Frilled lizards have that little ability too. Their frills kind of move in order to be more menacing to an extremely determined other predator. Yep. The 3 Dioans hesitated slightly before continuing their plan of action. They struck as one in an attempt to overwhelm Kraii. That's how you pronounce his actual name, or as Serena called him, Chris. Serena's bladder had unfortunately released the urine within, as Serena had stupidly turned around to see if she could help Chris. Yeah, that was a little stupid. Chris needed no assistance. He had morphed from the playful creature from before to an extremely fast, whirling dance of death, made of 2 rows of sharp teeth and claws that created long, deadly wounds in the other Dioans. Yeah. Chris had latched onto one of the other Dioan's back, sinking his teeth into the weak point in its spine and yanking his head up a few times, twisting his body to avoid the blows and to break the other Dioan's neck before he effectively and permanently killed the first opposing Dioan. Its headless body fell to the ground, twitching as Chris tossed the head aside and continued to fight the other two Dioans. Decapitation, it works for everything. Seriously, it does.
Cut off his freaking head, man.
Right? Serena watched with terror as Chris dispatched the other two Dioans with ease. Just ripped their heads off. Chris's teeth retracted back into his gums, and he looked at the major injuries he had sustained. Because, yeah, I mean, you were in a fight with 3 of them, you're bound to get seriously injured. Moving on. He smelled Serena's urine, because she did wet herself. I cannot say I blame her on that one. I probably would have too. And pure terror and risked looking at her. His ears no longer reminded Serena of a frilled lizard. Serena had known Chris was deadly when she had first seen him. Yeah. I do mention that. As I'm typing up the first book, I do mention that. But that's typed version, not rough draft version. These are rough draft versions, not typed. Haha. She had never guessed him to be as dangerous as he had just proven himself to be. I can speak English. For some reason, not too well right now. And no, there actually is no whiskey in my cup. It is purely...
Lies, all lies.
Dew Code Red. Because I am such a Mountain Dew fan.
Facade.
So he said. Slowly, Serena realized that while the now dead Dioans had been after Chris, they would have easily killed her and done so without a shred of remorse or without second thought. Because they are monsters. Itchy foot. Chris had saved his own life as well as kept Serena protected and alive by risking his own life to accomplish this. Serena put her pistol in its holster and focused on a patiently waiting Chris. "Thank you," Serena said after they spent minutes walking home in silence. Chris gave her a quick glance that she assumed was one of confusion. "For saving me. I mean, you probably fought to save your own life, but you saved me too, so thank you," Serena explained with a shaky smile. They were home by now, and Chris studied Serena as she opened the back door, because you can't very well walk out with a monster out of the front door, unless they're in a different form. So, she held the door open for him and closed it behind him, locking it, and gratefully went to take another shower, because she pissed herself. I would take a shower too. And seriously wash my clothes. Possibly never wear them again. Moving on. Chris hadn't followed her as... Chris didn't follow her. We gotta fix that. But okay. He didn't follow her. Because privacy is important, and he knows that. Chris was still at the back door when the water turned on. He knew Serena would freak out if he replied to her appreciation with a "you're welcome." Because, mind you, these monsters can talk too. So Chris was silent and nodded when he was sure Serena wouldn't hear him. Serena was singing now, so Chris knew she had calmed down slightly. "You're welcome," Chris mumbled quietly as Serena continued to sing in the shower. Because she's in the shower, so she's singing in the shower. Probably completely tone deaf, but we might add that in the typed version and not the rough draft version. So, there is more chapters after this. I thought that was the last one, but that's not the last one. I know we're definitely... Freaking be able to speak! Definitely near the end. As for how many chapters there are... Oh, chapter 13 is a long chapter. We're actually 2 chapters away from the end. 1 chapter, technically, because chapter 13 will be on Monday. Because, yeah. What happened there? Oh, that's what happened there. Screw you, I'm not interested in it. Anyway, Chapter 13 is Monday, and we're definitely going for Monday because this week was just very, very busy. So it's today instead of Monday as it usually is. So we finished chapter 12. Chapter 13 is next week, and chapter 13 means we are only 2 chapters away from the end of number 3. And then we move on to number 4, which I do not currently have with me, but I don't have to worry about that right now. Anyway, I have some accounts if any of you are interested. I have a Wattpad account, which is a nice little writing app, which you can write up some stories and hope that a publisher notices and everything else. So, also good to gain followers, because the more followers you get, the more noise you get, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, I'm promoting my books on not only here, but on Wattpad, and I use the account name of @Tempesta771. I have to advertise more on my TikTok, which is @AirdronCraven2. No uppercase or space. I believe you can find it under Tempesta Braveheart. If you can't find the @AirdronCraven2, do not quote me on that, because I really honestly don't know. I need to put more pictures on my Instagram, which you can find under Tempesta Braveheart. No uppercases or space, and I think the same thing goes with Instagram as TikTok. If you can't find Tempesta Braveheart, or you really just don't want to type in that long of a name, you can look under Airdron Craven. I have a Facebook, which is also under Airdron Craven. I will try to accept your friend request if I don't know you. I'm trying. But if you turn out to be really creepy, I am going to block you. Because creepy people are just really creepy. And most of them not in the good creepy way. I have a Snapchat, which I kind of just have. I don't know how to, I think I have to do a little story or live, Snapchat kind of, sort of maybe. But anyway, I have a Snapchat, which is also under Airdron Craven, no uppercases or space. And we are watching my YouTube, which is under the name Tempesta Braveheart. And I need a nice little caffeinated blood break. Soda. So chapter 12 is complete. We are on chapter 13, and after chapter 13, it's only one more until we get to book number 4. So we're only 2 chapters away from book number 4. And that chapter that we will do on Monday is a long chapter, so be prepared for a long reading of a chapter. So, anyway, that's going to be on Monday.
No.
That's going to be next week on Monday. Monday, we're aiming for Monday. So, anyway, peace out, Girl Scouts, and enjoy the mental hilarity.